The building component manufacturing industry, celebrating 40 years of innovation and service to home builders. In 1966, there were 60 million housing units in the United States. It had taken 250 years to reach that level. Amazingly, 50 million more homes were built in just the next 40 years. The building component industry was still in its infancy in 1966, but it was to prove instrumental in the unprecedented growth of residential construction over the next 4 decades that followed. Today, more than 8 of 10 new homes in the U.S. are built with factory-manufactured components. Who were those component manufacturers back then? Entrepreneurs, for sure. Folks willing to take the risks inherent in an often capricious economy. Through the years, they had to weather 3 recessions, stiff competition, a mostly unskilled labor force, and fast-changing technologies. Oh, and did we mention government? In 1986, environmentalists petitioned the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to list the spotted owl as an endangered species. In essence, it would bar the cutting of certain old-growth timber forests in the Pacific Northwest that were considered the owl's habitat. That was quickly followed by the listing of the red-cockaded woodpecker and the California gnatcatcher. Lumber prices skyrocketed, and so did the costs of manufacturing building components. For most of us, the commotion was so ridiculous, it could be best answered only with humor. The foundation of the component industry was the invention of metal connector plates to attach wood truss joints. Architect A. Carroll Sanford designed the initial plate in 1952. It was followed 3 years later by engineer J. Calvin Jurriet's design improvement that eliminated the need for additional nailing to hold the truss joints together. Hundreds more plate designs were tried over the years. Today, more than 500 million pounds of plates, such as this wave plate, are manufactured and packaged each year in highly automated production facilities. In the beginning, it was pretty easy to get into what was mainly the wood truss business at the time. All you needed, it was said, was a radial arm saw, a handmade jig table, and you'd be building metal plate connected wood trusses. This advertisement claims that with the $140 Hercules jig table assembly and 3 men, you could achieve $110,000 in sales. Using a 5-man crew, sales would jump to $220,000, and that was in 1960. But just being able to build components wasn't the whole story. Somebody had to specify and buy them. And that meant educating the building community on the benefits and advantages of designing metal plate connected wood trusses and building with them. But first, they needed to demonstrate that the trusses would perform as they claimed. Yes, the trusses were designed and sealed by professional engineers. Still, building officials said, "Show me." Thus began testing programs that continue today in highly sophisticated research and development laboratories. In the last dozen years, Alpine produced videos to better answer the "show me" demand, including HIB 91, lifting trusses by crane, and framing the American dream. For many years, the education effort was led by a few key plate suppliers. After all, it was in their best interest that roof and later floor trusses were accepted across the land. For example, Alpine advertised in major building industry publications, distributed brochures, conducted seminars for architects and builders, and produced 2 promotional films. In 1974, architects and specifiers could learn about the advantages of wood trusses through a promotional piece in Sweet's catalog, The Bible of the Construction Industry. The campaign in Sweet's lasted for 25 years and continues today in the ARCAT catalog and various websites. Home buyers, too, had to be convinced that those flimsy-looking trusses really were strong and reliable. We heard that one builder even rented an elephant, but it wouldn't get on the roof. For decades, truss designs were engineered, drawn, and made available to truss manufacturers by the plate suppliers. The majority of the designs were fairly simple, most often Fink trusses. Few could imagine then the cut-up roof designs of today. The first design manual Alpine produced contained 48 drawings. By 1981, there were 237 manuals, each containing an average of 75 drawings. And it still wasn't enough. Computers had been around for years. Alpine introduced a pricing and cutting program as early as 1970. But it wasn't until IBM's introduction of the PC in 1981 that a benchmark had been reached that would change the component industry and construction forever. Since then, thanks to powerful computer software and the skills of 3,000 customer designers, Alpine has issued more than 30 million unique truss designs, 7.5 million last year alone.
It wasn't very long ago that I just knew a computer couldn't design a truss. No way.
What changed your mind?
They're doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing so many truss designs. There's no way today that we could keep up with the tremendous number of engineering designs that we do.
From the inventive spirit of the pioneers 50 years ago to today's technological breakthroughs, the hallmark of the component manufacturing industry has been innovation. After all, good ideas can come from anywhere. Year after year, machines evolved that would speed the cutting and fabrication processes. Many of the machines and equipment Alpine has built through the years were inspired by suggestions from customers who identified problems in the plant. In some cases, a practical or cost-effective solution had to wait for new and improved products. A recent example is the phenomenal impact servo technology has made on the Automill SC, ALS, X4, and C4 jigging system. Speaking of innovation, in this North Georgia truss plant, the roller conveyors were hooked up to a belt driven by a 1968 Maverick. When the owner wants to speed up production, he puts a concrete block on the accelerator. And how about innovative uses of truss plates? Here, plates and scrap lumber are used to build picnic tables and to fabricate little fences for gardens. These gates at a private hunting preserve are fastened with connector plates. Today, component manufacturers are a powerful force in housing. Their association, WTCA, has largely assumed the role of educating builders, building officials, and the public. Where 30 years ago there were 35 plate suppliers, only a handful remain. Their education and training programs are mainly for their own customers. The industry's annual show, BCMC, has become an exciting, major educational event for component manufacturers and suppliers. And what of the future? Owning your home is still the American dream. Last year, home ownership in the United States topped 70% for the first time. What's more, it's estimated that over the next 15 to 20 years, an additional 2 million new housing units will be needed each year to accommodate the expected 1.3 million annual household formations and to replace housing stock that's no longer usable. The challenges to component manufacturers will be many. Manufacturing trusses and wall panels for millions of housing units and incorporating other products such as cold-formed steel trusses, I-joists, engineered lumber, and any number of new products and services into whole house designs. Still, the building component industry has always seen its challenges as opportunities and has met them head-on. Some years ago, Stan Sudarth, retired professor of wood technology from Purdue University, summed up the contributions of the component industry. Component manufacturers enabled site builders to stay in business by furnishing them with modern components for their homes. Manufacturers and suppliers together look to the future with great confidence and excitement as we share our ideas, our enthusiasm, and our continuing fascination with the possibilities. The future for our industry has never looked brighter.